when we talk about posting on your Facebook and stuff like that, I really like you guys putting a lot of mixing in your personal stuff with your business stuff, so people don't think you're just trying to get their business and you don't come across too salesy. You want to have some, hey, this is, check out my grandson and check out my, this and that, and here's my, oh, we're checking in at the restaurant. They're finally open for outdoor dining, that kind of stuff, and then mix in your business stuff as well, so people don't just think, oh, this guy's just trying to beat me down. They actually they come to know you and like you. Familiarity is good for them. Okay, guys, we're ready to start. It is 10:32 a.m. Eastern time. So let's get ready to start. We have a couple things we're going to talk about today. I advertised Buyer Brokerage Agreement, but I don't think we're going to do that. The main two people I was doing it for both asked me, they couldn't be here. One's showing a house and one's in a training. So if you guys want to, we can go over that briefly at the end, but I'm probably going to save that for another day. But what I do want to talk to you about, the main thing I want to talk to you about is what's going on in the market. And I'm seeing this, and I have some personal anecdotal stuff to talk about it. I think that it'll be really helpful for you guys as we go forward into this. Everybody's wondering what's going on with the market. And so let's talk about this. Here's what, and we touched on it briefly last week, I think. What we are seeing is a lot of people having their forbearances come due, or they just haven't been paying their mortgage because the times are tough, right? And so they're starting to get bills for $15,000 now. Some people, they either didn't do it right or they owe all this money. But the difference we're seeing now between now and the great crash of 2008, 2010, whatever you want to call it, is that people have equity in their house, right? How do we know that? How do we know where to find that, all this stuff? And what I want to talk to you guys about is how to find the Liz Pendens. If you guys don't know what that means, the Liz Pendens is the article of a it's a Latin phrase meaning that there's a pending litigation. Okay, so if someone gets issued as Liz Pendens, that means someone's filed suit against them. That means they can't sell their house without satisfying this. Okay, so what I need you guys to let me turn. Sorry. So what I need you guys to do is be able to find these, know where to find them, and you have a great resource on hand for those of you asking. And same goes for FSBOs and stuff like that, where you want to know contact information for people. Maybe you need to know, like with these pre-foreclosures and stuff like that, how much equity do they have? Do I need to present these people with kind of a short sale type scenario? Or do I need to present these people with a, let's hurry up and sell your house so we can pay off the mortgage and you guys can walk with 40 grand scenario, right? So what I want you to use is, have you guys used Remind? How many of you guys have used Remind? Raise your hand or let me know, chat, whatever you want to do. How many of you guys feel like you know Remind very well, or how many of you guys just have poked around on there and
never?
Anybody feel like they know it well? Okay, so Tammy, would you mind unmuting yourself and telling me what you use Remind for?
No, I've just poked around. I've tried to do some searches. It hasn't always produced. I'm not that proficient at it because you spend your time in the MLS, and I just haven't really spent a ton of time. But I do go in there to look up, like maybe somebody's mortgage, who owns that particular property. I know it does have an equity category that you can search for people's equity, I believe.
You can. And so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to share my screen here and go to the right thing if I can find it. Remind. Okay, you guys know how to find this, by the way?
Yeah.
Move this. I got to move something out of the way here. It's right next to your matrix icon on your main page. Okay. Do you guys see where I am right now?
Yep.
Really want to move that out of there. There you go. Okay. This one is just something I found real quick. I've actually seen it before. It's a pre-foreclosure that I saw on Zillow. Okay. I didn't do the research this morning to go find a pre-foreclosure at the courthouse for you. But So I see the pre-foreclosure listed on Zillow. How accurate is Zillow? Does anybody know? Is it, anybody? Not very. Okay. So I think you guys all know that, but you didn't want to say it, but it's true. They're not very accurate, but here's what I have for this. So I clicked on this one, 1851 Black Lake Boulevard. It's a pre-foreclosure. They say it's worth $649.09. I also looked at my own house on here and it's fairly accurate. But up here, can you guys all see my screen? It is working?
Mhm.
Okay. Up here, valuation, schools, demographics, property history, associated people, right? So I can scroll down here. I've already clicked it. That's why it's there. So Wayne and Kathy's phone number is on here. Okay. She's on the do not call list. That is not the Democratic National Committee. That's the do not call list. Okay. So should we call Kathy?
No,
No.
Correct.
but yes.
Correct. We have no reason. We do not have a reason to call Kathy outside of business telemarketing, right? I don't care if I do it from my own phone, it's business telemarketing. So we can't really do that. All right. Can we stop by the house and put something on their door or on their mailbox on the outside?
Absolutely, yes.
Yep, we can. Door hangers? Yes.
Yes.
So that's just part of it. So let's go back to the Remind map. I can look here at anybody, and I don't care if I'm just nosy. I can find out what people own, roughly how much equity they have in their house, etc. Let's look at this. Go back to this neighborhood. If my thing will let me, it's a little slow, but it's zooming back in too far. So it's going to be color coded though. This neighborhood is for home equity. If I do that, so you see the scale here, 0 to 250. This color is 250 to 500. This guy must have cash, must have paid cash, right? He's 500 to 750. Oh, wait, this guy's 500 to 750. This guy's 750 to $1 million. So there's no recorded mortgage on this property. Okay, let's look at this one. All right, so sorry. Oh, here he is. So you click over here. It's worth $912,000. There's not going to be a recorded mortgage, I would guess, or it's going to be very small. So do you guys see how this works? They don't always have, like for my house, they don't have any contact info. So I don't know how they get it or what, but for my house, they have none.
Where is Remind coming from, Brian?
I'm glad you asked that question. You ready? Here it is. Bang, right next to your matrix. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, but that's something new in the MLS that they added recently? Is that
At least 18 months ago or so, I'd say. A year ago, 18 months ago. All right, let's go back to these people. All right, so they give them full equity. They have no recorded mortgage on here, at least that Remind's familiar with. Okay, nice house too. All right, so let's see the associated people. So it's an ownership corporation that owns it. Okay, and then this guy who's also on the Democratic National Committee. Do not call him. Okay. All right, so there you go. So that's how you get information about people, right? Or about properties. Right here next to your matrix icon is that one.
and what do? You just pick a neighborhood and put in the name of a neighborhood because
No. You search out individual. I would search out individual properties. You can mess around in a neighborhood. You'll get. Trust me, you'll do this for hours if you get nosy about people's business. This happened to me the first time I ever saw it. I went around I know everybody in my neighborhood. I know all their business. So you can really get lost in it. But what I'm suggesting is that you find pre-foreclosures and stuff like that. And I'm talking about today. They're hitting the market. They're just starting to get their Liz pendants and stuff today.
Would you check the pre-foreclosures on Zillow, or how would you?
No, Zillow is not completely reliable. It's somewhat reliable. I know of one reliable one right now. And I believe the one I just looked up is probably reliable. This other 1851 Black Lake is probably reliable. They're not 100% reliable though. No, you can go to the courthouse and get lists. You go to the clerk of court and pull them.
Oh,
That's how you get the pre-foreclosure homes?
Yep, or you can pay to have them done, or you can check the HUD website. You can do any of that. You can do these things. I'm going to get off the screen share. So you can go to HUD websites. You can go to all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of ways to do it. You can pay for it, or you can do the work, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. All right, but you find the pre-foreclosures. And then you can look them up on Remind if you need more information about them. Or you can do what I bet, well, I know that Vivian goes to their houses and stuff too, but I bet she looks on Remind first, tries to get whatever she can.
Brian?
So it's a real estate gold mine. That's why they came up with the name, I'm betting. I don't know that for sure.
I have a question. Is it okay to go up to their houses, knock on their door, and just is
Yep.
there a soliciting or?
It's soliciting, but yeah, you can do it unless it says no soliciting or we'll shoot you or whatever. Yeah, but you can, and there's good ways to, and there are good ways to do that. Are you offering to, most people don't know everything that we know, right? That's why we do what we do, and that's why we're successful at what we do. A lot of people freak out. They get a thing in the mail saying they owe $15,000 and they freak out, right? You are offering them a solution. Okay. That's how you have to look at what you do. Are you adding value to the world or are you not? You are, right? So you offering them a solution, you're offering to help them get the equity that they have out of their house. If they, there's ways to approach it. You have to approach it with tact, but there's ways to approach it, and you're helping people. Right? If you don't believe that, then you shouldn't be doing this. If you don't believe you're helping people, then you're not in the right business. You're absolutely helping people. Right? Can you present it that way, do you think, Victoria?
I can. Actually, today I was going to go around the neighborhood and pass out some calendars because it's the end of the year, and if I don't pass it out, it goes to waste. And but part of me thinks that it may be intrusive in their private homes, but at the same time, these are my neighbors. So I feel like I've established some relationships with the people here to be able to do that. But my dad suggested I just put it in their mailbox, but for me, it's no personal connection, and I want to gather numbers while I do that. So yeah, that's perfect timing to ask this question. Victoria,
you are, timid salespeople have skinny kids, okay? You have to have some sort of, you can't be timid and sell. You've got to be able to go up to their door and talk to them. And I'm sure you have a rapport with them. You have, you don't look like me. You're not threatening to them if you go to their door, right? You're their neighbor. You care about them. You're giving them something of value. And just the calendar. That's why we go there with the calendars. And that's why, Vivian's got her hot and cold things. And, you got all this stuff, the little stuff that we give people. You're giving them something of value. Let them know what you're doing. What are you presenting them with when you go to their door besides the calendar? Hey, nice to see you again. Here's the calendar. What are you presenting them with?
Well, I can show you. It's cheesy, but I got a bunch of masks and I put it in calendars. So I was just going to give it to them and just see how they're doing, how's COVID, and then also talk about, the market if they have questions about that. So I haven't done it yet. I've been scared.
Cheesy is fantastic.
Yeah.
Do it. Absolutely. That's actually very good. That's a very good reason to touch base with somebody.
Yeah.
Just checking on you guys, seeing how you're doing. Let me know if you have any questions about what's going on with the market. Blah, blah, blah. You're presenting yourself as a neighborhood expert. Guys, if we have, and I mean, if any of us, of the realtors that we have out there working, have sold something in this neighborhood, just want to let you know that we sold right down the street. I don't care if Tammy did it and it was down the street. It didn't have to be you. We sold it. Our brokerage sold it, right? Mm-hmm. We just sold the house, 2 streets over. Just, letting you guys know what the market's doing. I've got tons of buyers looking for this neighborhood. don't have a lot of sellers. If you guys are ever looking to sell, or if you'd like to buy something, let me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All they can do, Victoria, is say no. That's all they can do to you.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
There are, I always tell you guys this, there are hundreds of closings happening today in Orlando.
Mhm.
If none of them are working with you, that's okay. You only need, if you had 1 out of every 100 closings, you'd have 5 a day. Okay. So that's all, 99.9% of people can say no to you, and you'd still have 1 every other day.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine. You're not going to, nobody's going to be like, I can't believe the nerve of that crazy Victoria.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to say, hey, Victoria stopped by, who's that lady that stopped by? Oh, where's my calendar thing? It's got her name on it. You know what I mean? So, a month from now, they're going to remember you, and they're going to remember that you cared, even if it was cheesy. Right.
Cool. Well, in that case, I will work on this, and next week I'll give you guys an update how it goes.
Yeah. Let us know how it goes. And you know what? You're not going to know how it goes a week from now or a month from now. It's going to be, I mean, it might go great, but you never know. And this is why I love to tell a story about one of our agents. And I've told you guys this before. And he was at the time 28 years old. It's about 3 years ago now. And he was up in Apopka, and he called me one day and said, I went out and walked doors today. It was in April. It just started getting really hot. And he wore he was a former Keller Williams person. So he knew all the stand 15 feet back, and he wore a jacket and a tie, and he had his name tag on, and he did everything right. And he did that, and he went from 9:30 to 12:30, and he was dying. It was hot. He was wearing all these clothes and stuff, and nothing exciting had happened for him. He talked to a few people. So a lot of people didn't answer their door, even if he could tell they were home. But typical stuff, right? Talked to a few people, gave out some business cards, stuff like that. He's on his way home from there. Stops at McDonald's to grab something to eat, and sells a house in line to a guy. $250,000 house he sold in line to a guy, just because he was out working. He was just being active. Activity breeds success. Any kind of sales business, activity breeds success, even if you don't know it at the time. He was headed home. He was hot and tired, but if he had stayed home that day and worked from his couch in his underwear and watched Judge Judy, nobody was going to knock on his door and buy a house, right? Has anybody ever knocked on your door and bought a house from you? No. They see you when you're out doing stuff. I bet you've met people when you're wearing your name tag. Those of you who've been doing real estate, wearing your name tag at Publix, and somebody will stop you and you'll end up selling them a house, right? But they're not going to knock on your door. You can be out at Publix, not doing anything real estate related at all, just stopping by to get something, but you got your name tag on, and you will meet people, and they will stop and ask you about the real estate market. So I love the idea, Victoria. Get out there, talk to people. You're actively doing something. You're coming across as someone who's energetic, professional, and a real estate expert, right? To people that already are familiar with you and they trust you. People trust people who live in their neighborhood unless they've seen you doing crazy stuff, right? So that's great. That's great. And I bet you if you do this a couple of times, you will get business out of it.
Thanks. I'll do it.
All right. I really like that idea. The cheesy is perfectly fine. There's nothing cheesy about it.
You could
Really like
also
that
do
idea.
little hand sanitizers and put your name on the hand sanitizer. Then they carry it around with them more often. Like they might have that more often.
True. I like that too. Vivian pointed out that you can't open people's mailboxes and put stuff in too. So you can't go in people's mailboxes. Any other questions about that, about Remind, about finding people's stuff? You guys get on there and play with Remind. Next time you're going to be playing around on your computer anyway, play with Remind, find all the things you can do. I know you're going to look up your friends and family's houses anyway, because you're nosy, but look up all kinds of stuff. Okay. All it's doing is bringing a lot of information you could get from public records together into one site and making it very easy for you. Okay. And it's running.
Get it through MLS.
Pardon me, Richard?
Remind, can you only get it through MLS?
Yeah, you get it through MLS.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and those of you who don't have Stellar, you might not be able to have that. So any of you who are in areas, Brevard County or somewhere we don't have stellar, we just joined, just so you guys know, we just joined the Hernando and Citrus boards. We're members now of Jacksonville and St. Augustine. We have an address in Jacksonville for those of you who want to boast about having a Jacksonville office. If you have any clientele up there or you need to list something up there, same with St. Augustine. We're all the way up the East Coast now from Melbourne north, and Richard's coming down to the Vero Beach area. So we'll be there as well. Okay. So all the way up to Jacksonville on the East Coast. The West Coast right now, we're from Sarasota County up through Pinellas, Pasco, anywhere else that you want to be, really. And then now that we have Hernando, and I don't know how well you guys know Florida geography, but now that we have Hernando and Citrus, we're all the way everywhere across the Central Florida. Okay. What's that? Dalton, Hernando, and Citrus. Yes. So any other questions on any of that stuff? Guys, same goes for trying to find FSBOs, trying to find information about FSBOs, whatever you're trying to find out. The same goes for that. Short sales. So as these come, there are going to be some foreclosures and short sales, right? Not everybody has a lot of equity. Short sales. We have this in our office. Do you guys know how, anybody have any questions about how short sales work? Anything like that? We have a negotiator in our office. You actually, if you use her, the buyer pays for it. If the lender won't cover it, if the seller's lender won't cover it, the buyer pays for the negotiation, and they'll just pay it at closing. If you guys,
How much is
pardon?
it?
I think it's $14.95.
Okay.
All right. But if you guys use our in-house one, Florida Short Sale Solutions, which is HIN in our office, you save $100 off your transaction fee.
Can you
So
email
preferred vendor.
contact info?
HIN's?
Yeah, whoever this person is, because I have a feeling we're gonna need them
Yep.
in, Heathrow area.
I'm putting it in right now.
Thank you.
There we go. Florida Short Sale Solutions. Okay.
Thank you.
So there's going to be some of that. Do you guys have any questions on short sales? You guys all know how that works. If you don't, you can ask now, or you can contact me at another time if you don't want to ask now. Do you guys have anything else? I don't want to get in the buyer brokerage agreement today because the people who asked for that are not here, unless you guys want to talk about it. Are you guys using the buyer brokerage agreement?
I actually have to do one because the seller, my buyer found a house that the seller doesn't want to compensate the realtor for.
Okay.
So my buyer's going to go ahead and pay me not what I would normally make, but he's going to pay me something so I could do the deal because you're both, one's in Germany and he's in New York. So I really don't think I've ever even maybe looked at one in I don't know how long. So I would just put fill it out and put the commission on there, right? And he just sign it.
You fill it out and there's a place on there for compensation.
Okay.
What are you charging for compensation?
Probably not enough. 2,500.
2,500.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just doing a flat fee deal. There's a place for that. Put 0% plus 2,500.
Okay.
Or it says or $2,500.
Okay.
And I just completed one exactly like that, using a new brokerage agreement. It was $2,500, like a gift to the people that I was.
Oh, and then I need to do a new brokerage agreement with the other lady, correct? It's the seller.
Yeah.
No, nothing with the seller.
You don't have to, but I like that. You're disclosing that. I like to disclose, over disclose. So you have no
Legal
brokerage.
Hotline told me I should do that.
Yeah, and I love that because it also lets them know you should have had to broker. Because you make somebody sign something so that they're passing on something. That's why people make you waive your rights to stuff because when they're trying to sell you the insurance for your rental car and they make you sign where you waive it. And I recognize that I'm not buying the insurance and I could be liable for blah 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 blah. Right. They make you do that. Let me tell you guys a quick story. So I got I've lived my whole life without getting politically polled. And I did about a month ago. I got an actual pollster called me and asked me about, for the election, right? Then I got a phone call this morning about 9:45 from a pollster, right, who's asking me a lot of the same questions. Then when they got to the end, they started asking me, well, this candidate, if this candidate is elected and his plans to do this, 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 and this, and it was all like negative stuff. It's like going to destroy the world. Would you be more or less likely to vote for them? I said, wait a minute, this isn't you're not a pollster. You're an activist of some type. It was really funny, but that was the same kind of thing. It's funny that you said that. It's the same kind of thing. When you give them a no brokerage agreement, you do realize that you're not protected and you're not represented, and everything could go to, you're probably not going to do well in this transaction. Sign here, right? That's what I like about the no brokerage agreement when someone refuses to work with you like that. Because Tammy, what you're offering them, it should be as simple as making a commission agreement with the seller is what it should have been. Obviously, the seller is obstinate to that. Is that what's happening?
Oh,
Even though,
exactly. I don't need a realtor. I do not need a realtor.
Right.
I'm sorry for you, but I'm glad the buyer is going to give you something towards it, but I don't need a realtor.
Right. And they realize that the buyer has figured out the $2,500 they have to give you, and they're giving them $2,500 less anyway. But neither here nor there, right? So yeah, absolutely. Say, listen, Susie, Bill, homeowner, I appreciate exactly what you said. You don't want a realtor. You're not going to have one. Here, just sign this that we are not. I'm just putting down what you said. I want to get it.
But you end up doing the deal anyway, even though they don't have you. It's as a result of your work that the deal gets done.
Right. But you're going to honor their wishes. I know you don't want a realtor. You're just signing. I just wanted to put it in writing in case you ever think I'm trying to be your realtor. Here's the thing saying I am absolutely not your realtor. Nobody, you have no real estate professional helping you whatsoever.
Right.
Good luck.
So I have a question about all that now that you guys brought it up. So tell me, for that seller, so the buyer found that house on their own and the seller agreed to sell to that buyer, but the buyer is paying you the $2,500 because obviously there's no commission on it.
The buyer calls me and says, Tammy, I called this management or called somewhere to find a house in the Southern Dunes neighborhood, and this management company knew of a lady that wanted to sell. So he calls me, he goes, I called this management company, I found a house in there, blah, 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 blah. But I know you're my realtor, what do I do? And so then I kind of took the ball and called the management company, but she said, nope, they don't want to work with a realtor. But I thought maybe she didn't have it correct. So I'm like, well, can you give me the owner's information and let me just, touch base with her? Well, as I spoke to the owner, I got the message for sure. And I even tried to, tell her, well, I can save you money. So anyway, yeah, but luckily he called me and he told me, and he's, he's like, I said, I don't know how you guys are going to do this without a realtor. He's like, I don't either. I just sold my house in North Carolina and he's in New York and I just paid 6%. And I said, I know, I don't really know how you're going to do this. And he goes, well, can I pay you to do it? So, and then that's such a hard position to be in. You don't really know what to charge them, but you want to make the money and you're losing potentially the real commission because now he's found this house with a buy owner. So what do you think? Do you think 2,500 was, first I said 3,000. I'm like, well, but you've been so good, blah, 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 blah. I'll do 25. But really, technically, I would make 7,000 on a normal deal. So what would you have done, Ryan?
Well, I'll tell you, I get this question from you guys a lot individually, and I'll still get it once a week from someone anyway about these things. What should I charge somebody? And Tammy, the answer to that, sometimes it depends on how good of friends they are. It's usually for a friend, and he or she, they rent out their house and they're going to sell it to their tenant, and they just need somebody to do the paperwork, something like that.
I just did one of those for free.
Right.
The guy goes, oh no, I would never not charge you anything. So I told the title company, I said, will you email the guy and see if he wants to pay any commission, just so you notice that they're in. He's like, he didn't want to pay any. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I did that for free, but that's okay.
What a sweetheart, Tammy. What a sweetheart. So I get these questions from you guys all the time. Should I charge them? Well, I don't want to charge. I said, you can charge. I've seen you guys charge $500. I've seen you guys charge $5,000. I've seen you charge everything. Right. So it depends on how good of friends they are, what you're doing, how much of a headache it is, et cetera. Is there a lender involved? Is there all this kind of stuff that you've got? It's going to be a lot of work for you. Whatever. It's completely up to you. But in this case, in any case, if you had said, I'm not going to do it for 2,500, I'll do it for 5,000, what would he have said?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay. Well, so it's a negotiation just like anything else.
right.
You know, if you ask me to mow your lawn and I say I'll do it for $200, you're going to say no. And I'll say, well, I'll do it for $20. Okay, right? So it's just a negotiation. Whatever you think that how much work you think it's going to be, how much they think it's going to be, most importantly,
Well,
right?
the thing, when the lady was talking to him about her house and she was going to price it at like 269, and when she finished giving him all the qualities about her house, she goes, you know what? I'm actually going to now sell it for 274.9. I just realized how great my house is. so she went up on her price. He's paying me. Oh, anyway.
All right. Well,
In that case, I'm sorry, Ryan. In that case, since the house is not listed in the market, are you using a regular, contract that we would put from Simplicity and just using a no brokerage agreement with the seller? Is that what you're doing?
yes,
Yeah.
and a buyer brokerage agreement with the buyer.
Mhm.
That's how she's getting paid.
Okay.
Now, would I put this in the MLS for record only, or?
And
Yeah. Okay.
you can.
Ryan, could we use the commission agreement with that seller?
You could, but she doesn't want to sign that. I assume that always your first choice is the commission agreement. But a lot of sellers won't do that. They'll say, I absolutely don't want a realtor. So that's what you could, yeah, that's what you would do. Limited service agreement would be if they were going to get you to do it for anybody that came along, but she's got a specific buyer for a specific seller. So commission agreement would be ideal, but I take it that they're telling Tammy, she said, I'm not paying you a commission. You have to get it from the buyer, which is of course the same thing, but.
Oh, okay. I was thinking from the point of view to get the seller to pay the buyer side.
Yeah, the seller refuses to, just out of principle, refuses to pay a commission.
Gotcha.
Can you get the seller to pay closing costs for the buyer?
That was
What do you mean?
that was more directed towards Tammy whenever she first said it in the contract. Usually what I do is I won't frame it as they're paying me commission. I'll say, hey, I'll start by saying, well, you paid 3% of my buyer's closing costs, and I'm already charging the buyer in a buyer broker agreement 3% in commission.
Right.
I was not offering. So they don't know it's commission. They think they're helping the buyer. And then at closing, it's 3% to me.
Yeah, this lady wouldn't do anything because she said if he doesn't want it, I'm going to raise the price and put it out there. She's a real hard nose, but that is a good way of saying it for sure.
Okay. Yeah. She sounds like she's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Some people they just dig their heels in, and the more you push, the more they dig their heels in.
Right.
Any other questions or insights about that? The buyer brokerage agreement. Any questions on when to use that, how to use that? I've told you guys before about someone being creative with it, and that was Dalton. That was what Dalton was talking about. He's been creative with them in ways to get the commission that he deserves on certain things where it's not being offered. So you can be creative with that. Do not try to change someone's MLS offer of compensation on the contract. Do not write a contract where they offer 2.5. Do not write a contract that says you're going to pay FRI and Daryl Hunt 3%. Okay, you cannot do that. That is a ethics violation with the Board of Realtors, and you have ways around that though with your buyer brokerage agreement. Okay.
So how do you handle that? Like if you put on the contract and you ask the seller to pay a certain percentage of closing costs for your purpose to get your commission, and they don't want to contribute to the closing costs, and you just, I guess, eat it. I mean, you just let it go then, you're saying, or?
Well, it's a point of negotiation. So your buyer owes you that. So your buyer, it's important to your buyer. If they owe you that percentage based on your agreement to work for them, then they owe you that. So it's important to them that they get it from the seller. Otherwise, the buyer pays it.
Does it? I really not even looked at the buyer's agreement. So is that what basically the buyer's agreement says, that they're willing to pay you a commission?
That's no. You need to be here for the buyer's agreement class. We'll do that next week.
Okay.
But no, it says a lot of stuff, and you don't want that is part of it, but that's not the highlight of it. And a lot of times people will let that go if they put on their 3%, and then the deal's only 2.5. They don't come back and charge the buyer the 0.5%.
Well, I guess the assumption is that the seller pays the commission, and it's really not the buyer's it's not on the buyer per se, but you're basically saying the buyer has some obligation to pay you a commission.
That is the assumption, Tammy, but the reason we have any of this paperwork and disclosures and stuff is because nothing's ever normal, right? Rarely is something normal. Same reason you need that guy to sign that buyer brokerage agreement right now is because it's not a normal deal. So if you're finding something outside the box, you still want to get paid. That's what you use it for, right? But typically when you go over this agreement with them, you're going to tell them, look, we're putting 3% here. That is a typical amount that we get as a cooperating broker. If it's 2.5, I'll let you slide or whatever, but whatever it is you want to say, or you can come back to that later. But say 3%, as you're going over it, you just gloss over it. 3% is typical cooperating broker that we get from the MLS offer of compensation, and keep moving along. If you're going to charge them the 350 or the 175, that's the place to do it as well. Or you can have them sign the affiliated business, the affiliated business disclosure. Okay.
I always start mine at 4. And then when I present it, I just put it out in front. I say, hey, look, this is what I'm going to get paid, but don't worry, you're not going to pay that. The seller is going to pay that. And then we'll go negotiate the contract. And if they're paying me 3%, I'll try to get 1% in closing costs. If I can't get it, then I look like the good guy, because I'll say, you know what, I'll drop this down to 3% and I'll change it, modify it, and have them sign it. And they think I'm the hero because I just saved them 1%.
But if you get the cost from the buyer, how does that translate on the closing statement? And how does that work with their mortgage company? Because a lot of that stuff has to kind of be disclosed to the mortgage company, right?
I guess it was different because it was a cash deal, but one I did in College Park, we did 4.5%, and I got, they were paying 2.5%, so I got 2% from the seller. All I put in the contract was seller will contribute 2% to the buyer's closing cost, and then it went on the settlement statement just as Florida Realty Investments made 2% more than the other brokerage. And Ryan knows they ended up like afterwards calling to find out how we split it and stuff like that. So they were upset afterwards, but they don't really know until you get to the settlement statement that you're actually wrapping that into commission.
So the buyer's brokerage agreement, what they owe you from the buyer's brokerage agreement is a closing cost. So that's how it works. So they're contributing towards your closing costs. It's none of their business what your closing cost is.
Yeah.
So I have a good example for you also, Ryan. I made contact with a flipper, and we agreed that I would bird dog for him some distressed properties. And when I looked into the guy, I realized he's a realtor. So my buyer brokerage agreement normally that I would have given him wouldn't have applied, because I wouldn't be able to compel him to sell with me later, which is usually what I do for these people. So I did talk to him, and he did agree to pay me a referral fee on the post flip sale. So I'll get the commission on the purchase if I rep him for that. And then when he turns around and relists it after it's fixed up, I'll get a referral fee.
Excellent.
Like Dalton, I always feel it's better to ask and negotiate it than not to ask at all.
All right. Any other questions on the buyer brokerage agreement? We're going to go over it next week, but if you get like when to use it, how to use it, anything like that. Guys, I really like you using them. Please use them, protect yourself. In the case that something is not, how often do deals go exactly like they're supposed to, right? So how many of you guys have shown someone a bunch of houses, and then you get that phone call where they found something on their own, right? That happened to you guys? So they didn't. Tammy did it. Tammy took them.
But
So,
how would you follow up on that if they called you up and you had a buyer's broker agreement, and then they're like, they find a house and it's another agent? You're gonna get, you know what I mean? It's like, is it worth?
well, first of all, the buyer brokerage agreement scares off most people. Scares off any ethical agent is going to say, have you guys been working with anybody? Well, gosh, Richard showed us a couple. There's this guy, Richard, he showed us a couple of houses. Did you sign anything with Richard? Oh, no, we haven't signed anything. Right? Then you say, well, sorry for Richard, right? But if they say, yeah, we signed something, I don't remember something, working with them, blah, blah, have Richard give me a call and have him write a contract, right? That's how it works, Tammy. Mostly that's how it works. Otherwise, they're hard to enforce. They are hard to enforce. But now if they said they signed something with Richard and now I work with them, I know I'm going to have to show up at ORA for an arbitration eventually on a procuring cause case, right? And that's not fun. I got to dress nice and no, I'm not doing that. So that's how that works. So should you have them do this before you put them, guys? It's as important as a pre-qual. It's as important as anything before you go show them a house. You really should. If you believe that you have any worth, like we talked about earlier with Victoria going, if you believe that you have any worth as a real estate agent, then they should sign something that they're going to work with you. Right?
But would you have them sign it once you meet them? Like,
Yeah. No. I want you to sign it in person. Sign it in person and sign it after you've had a conversation with them about what they're looking for, what they want to do, all this stuff. And Tammy, if you can be here next week, I know you're very busy, but if you can be here next week, I'm going to go through it line by line and show you guys how to sell it to them. That is not where you're getting them to, you're doing them a favor. By the time you get done with this, you're doing them a favor.
right.
Okay. If you present it right. Can everybody buy that? Everybody believe that? By the time you get done with this, you're doing them a favor. Okay. So that's how we're going to present it. There's a lot of stuff on this first page, and there's all of our duties and stuff on this first page where we have been listening to them. We're going to help them. We're going to, this is our value that we're providing them. And all we're asking after we've educated them, Tammy, so you have a client. Is there any reason that they should work with me? Can I show them houses that you can't show them? Can I negotiate anything that you can't negotiate? Can I? No, right? You're a member of your local board of realtors, National Association of Realtors, State Association of Realtors, and the local MLS. There's no house that I can find them that you can't.
Right.
Right? Why should they work with me? They can't unless you're derelict in your duties as an agent, which is what it will come down to in this arbitration court if they ever try to do business with me after they sign something with you.
Okay.
They have to prove that you did a bad job, right? And they said they just wanted to work with me because Tammy didn't respond to my texts and emails, right? So regardless of that, there's nothing, if you educate them that there's nothing that Richard or Fernando or Dalton or Ryan or Daryl can do for them that you can't do, then why on earth would they not sign this?
Right.
Right? I'm sitting here with you. I'm ready to go. I can show you houses right now. But I don't want you calling off some Zillow thing that you see when you get home after you told me you wanted a 4-3 in Windermere and you went home and decided you wanted a 3-2 in Union Park.
Exactly.
Right? So you called off the Zillow and Dalton got it and Dalton sold it to you. Right?
It just happened to me. I showed people properties in St. Cloud and they wanted St. Cloud, and I've been in touch with her. She's been in touch with me, and all of a sudden she's like, hey, we bought a house in Sanford. I'm like, what? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It takes longer to get from Sanford to St. Cloud than it does to get from Orlando to Tampa. Oh, we bought a house in Tampa. I know you were looking in Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Even paying tolls.
Yeah, exactly. Any other questions? Yes, Victoria, I see a hand.
Yesterday, I spent some time going over some potential leads, and I found out that 2 of my leads have already worked with other agents, but I've spent quite some time showing them houses in the past. And so if I didn't follow up on those leads and see, I was researching on their houses so I could have a conversation about them, about the update. So are you saying if I had a buyer's agreement signed that those leads would still come back to me as I would still be their agent?
You can't, no, not automatically. You've got to, well, yeah, but you've got to build a relationship with them to make them want to sign this with you. But one thing I don't know what you're calling a lead and stuff. You met with them, you showed them houses, and they ended up buying through somebody else. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But if they had signed something with you when they called off somebody else's thing, those people would have said, and I guarantee they did. They said, "Are you working with a realtor?" And they said, "Yeah, really nice lady. She showed us some houses." Well, did you sign anything with her?
I know.
no, we didn't sign anything with her.
Okay.
Okay, well, come on, let's write an offer.
Right.
That's what I would do. That's what you would do. Fernando's smiling. That's what he would do. Fernando is probably the one that sold it to him.
I-
So, so, yeah,
Let's do that.
so no, that's what you have to do. And I hope you do the same, Victoria. If somebody comes up to you and says they want to see they come into your open house and they say they're interested, and I hope you would say, are you working with a realtor? And they would say, well, somebody showed us some houses. I hope you would say, did you sign anything? And if they say no, then let's write an offer, right? Is that what you would do?
Yeah, I think, well, moving forward, I really didn't like that experience. I was kind of disappointed because I spent a lot.
Thank you. Yes, it is very disappointing.
Yeah, I'll have that handy.
This is funny because this has been in my personal life lately. This has been a thing. People do things and people behave in certain ways, and people are lazy, or they're scared, or they act in a way that or they're just laid back and they let things happen, and then they hate the repercussions of that, right? And you weren't lazy or anything, but you were a little bit, or maybe you weren't scared because you didn't know to do this. But from now on, don't be scared to do this. That's a timid salesperson. You have skinny kids and you hate the experience. But that gut feeling that when someone tells you after you showed them houses and they tell you, I bought something through Sanina, I bought something through Devi, they tell you that, let that next time, that pain that you feel next time guide you to get them to sign this, push you to get them to sign this form. Okay. It's not bulletproof, but it's going to work 98% of the time. Get them to sign the form and they will not do this to you. Okay. You've got to be strong because other agents aren't going to do it. They don't want to end up, it's not worth it. I'd rather take, half a deal than all of a deal and end up in an arbitration room. Okay. So get them to sign it. Let that pain drive you. It was pain, right? Let it drive you. Pain is what drives us to do things. And so I had this talk with my 14-year-old son about the repercussions of some of the things that he's done, right? He's on the football team, but he didn't do all the training and stuff. And now football practice has started and he's hurting. What did he learn? Right? So that's what's going on. But it's the same thing for that. It's the same thing for another friend of mine whose wife is mad at him because he sits around the house and doesn't do anything since COVID. So, but he enjoys sitting around the house, not doing anything, but he doesn't enjoy the fighting, right? So let the pain drive you to do what you should be doing. And that's what you guys have got to do with this agreement. Any other questions? Do we have to get extra E&O insurance? No, we've got E&O insurance.
It has happened to all of us, Victoria. I think the last time I screamed in Ryan's presence was when it happened to me.
Oh, yeah. Vivian had a good friend do it to her. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
She's
So that, you talk about pain. I bet that pain was stronger than other pain. And Vivian had the one that I hear from you guys all the time. And you guys make people better friends because you don't want to do this. You don't want to sell them on this buyer brokerage agreement. So you make them sound like they're even better friends than they are because you say, oh, this friend would never do this to me. They don't know that they don't know enough to know that they're doing it to you.
Yeah.
They think they're doing you a favor because they're not bothering you about it anymore. Right? So
Or they don't want to ruin the friendship for some reason.
they don't want to ruin the friendship. So right. And what do you say? Anytime you have to do something you don't want to do and you don't want to take the repercussions from the client, what do you say? My broker makes me do it. That mean old Carissa makes you do it. Okay. Right. Who charges you that 350 fee to that client? Who is the cold, heartless person who charges that 350 to that client? Carissa. Right. She's terrible. And if you're only doing the 175, or if you're going to pay it for them, guess who the angel is that takes care of that fee for them and fights off the devil? You are. Right. Right. So next time you see Carissa, be sure to tell her.
Sorry, I use Ryan.
You can use me. That's fine. I can defend myself probably better than she can physically, but use Ryan, use whoever you like. That's fine. But it's your brokerage. Your brokerage makes you do it. Brokerage really makes me have you guys sign this, right? Who really makes someone pay a fee at the end? We do, right? That's your mean old brokerage. Everything you do that they don't like is the broker's fault. but you're taking care of them. You're the buffer between them and the mean old brokerage. And we only have to have the brokerage because of stupid laws, right? So there you go. That's how you get on their side. And that's part of what we're going to talk about when we do the buyer brokerage agreement, right? Your broker makes you do this, but you're going to protect them. You're going to help them. You're going to, you're on their side. All right. Any other questions about that? So what did we learn today?
Besides, they are paid that fee because you guys are gonna storage the file.
Yeah. There's a reason for it. My mean old brokerage, yeah, she's not just mean, cold, and heartless. She also will store your records for up to 5 years according to Florida Statute 475. All right. So that's what they're getting out of it. But you guys, the broker charges for that. You guys are the one who's helping them out. So what we learned today is that Carissa is mean and cold and heartless. Anything else?
Sorry, one more. So right now I'm actually researching on land for somebody. Should they sign the buyer agreement now before I even ship? Okay.
Yeah. Let her fly. Yes. Yeah. Victor, don't waste.
Especially on land. Oh my gosh, land is such a pain. I think everybody wants this land. They all call on it. They've got dreams of building a house.
Yeah.
And they have no idea what's involved or what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really surprised, Victoria. I saw what you were looking for on our Facebook page. Guys, if you aren't on our Facebook page, we sent out a thing last week. I want to introduce you guys that. Anyway, Victoria, real quick on that. I was surprised that you found what you wanted. Looks like if you really found something that close to the city, that big with it for that price, that is awesome. Oh, you didn't?
It's away. It's like Bartow. And then we were looking at Wildwood, but they're very specific in what they want. So their narrow went down to 2 results.
Oh, good. You got them narrowed down to 2. That's fantastic. That way they can make a choice and not a decision. Choices are easy. Decisions are hard. So let's go back to the app and stuff too. Guys, get them on the app. Victoria, you can see when they're looking on the app. If you have our FRI app, if you look on your screen, you'll see a young lady named Abby. Abby is waving at you now. Abby is helping us with our marketing, helping you guys with your marketing. So if you need anything for that, she's helping everybody with the app. So if you need your app, you get 2 free months to try it. If you like it, use it. If you don't. But we're going to do a training on the app as well. That's going to be one of our next ones too, is the app. It's just hard to do. I can't screen share it really, so it's kind of hard to do. But if we figure out a way to do it, and Abby and I will work on that, find out a good way to train you on the app. And so Abby's here to help you as well. Your signature blocks, stuff like that. If you guys want FRI signature blocks, you're not happy with what you have, or you want to do something similar to what I have, let Abby know about that. She'll do that for you as well. Ryan, you never sent the message last week for the app. Listen, Don, I'll be happy to do that. All right. Sorry.
You missed it in one of the 50 texts, right? One of the 50 texts that you sent.
I did send a bunch of texts to people. I know that. But I'll be happy to do that. There's her number. Maybe Abby will take care of that. There you go. Send Abby an email if you have any questions. All right. So, and again, the one I sent everybody last week was the corporate one. When Abby sends you a new link, if you get signed up for it, Abby sends you a new link, uninstall the corporate one first, then install yours. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. So any other, what else were we talking about? Any other questions?
Hey, Victoria. So it looks like you're just helping them find the land, but just so you know, if you do connect them with a builder, if they build like a $500,000 house, the builder's going to pay you 2.5%, 3%. And they're going to pay you up front for that whole cost of construction. So you don't just have to get paid on the land, connect them with a builder too, and the builder will also pay you commission.
Okay.
For the whole house.
And for the builder, how do we go about finding builders once we narrow down the location?
You just have to, I had to post into the FRI group and just had to reach out to people I knew that have been in the business a long time and asked, hey, have you worked with any builders and stuff? So that's how I did it. I'm just not experienced enough to know a lot of builders. Some of the people in this group have probably been in the business long enough to know builders off the top of their head.
Okay.
Yeah, and really, I mean, if you're talking about somebody in Bartow and somebody in Lakeland, I'm pretty good with Florida geography. Those are, sorry, Bartow and Wildwood. those are not close to each other. So it won't be
Right.
the same builders so wherever
And
they decide to
sometimes-
go, just like
sometimes
picking an inspector or anything else,
Mhm.
you'll introduce them to 3 of them. And they'll give them bids. They need to get plans first. They need to do all kinds of stuff, or the builder
Right.
will help them get plans. But there's a long way. There's a lot that goes into building a house.
Yep.
So, let them get all that done. They'll get divorced at some point during the process, and they'll hopefully get the house built, because it's a lot of fighting that's going to go on for them. It's a process. But seriously, get them some builders, 3 in each area, whatever, and let them talk to the builders and pick who they're most comfortable with. But you want to make all the introductions and stuff, because you will get
Right, you want to register them with the builder and then give them their information.
Yeah, and the people that are going to be building these things probably don't have a registration process even, Tammy. It'll probably
Well, I
usually
do
just,
have a builder down in St. Cloud, Bracy Builders, and he wants me to call and they just email log it so that if he ends up working with the client, he'll give me the commission.
that's a bigger builder than somebody who's building a lot of houses. But a lot of these people are going to be people who build 4 or 5 houses a year if they're building a big
Yeah.
farmhouse for somebody. So you just make
Some
the
of those
personal
builders
contact.
have land as well. Some of those builders have land that they've already purchased and as too.
Mhm.
I mean, I know he
Some
does
of them
that.
do.
Mhm.
So back to
Ryan,
your,
I
Yes,
have a
Cindy.
question. I did
Yes.
once with one buyer. He bought the lot through me, and I took him to 3 builders, and he went and signed up with some other builder. Now, for the builders, do we need to do some kind of agreement? Because see, I just spent so much time taking him to 3 builders, and I don't know, I drove all these places, and he went with the 4th builder on his own. So do we need to sign something with them just for the builder?
I would, Sanina, my first question when I call a builder would be, do you pay realtors?
That
Right.
had asked, and they were ready to pay. So they sent me an email saying, yes, we'll pay you 3%. But the stupid buyer went away somewhere else.
Stupid buyer. Yeah. Yep.
And he's a doctor. I mean, I was shocked. I said, what the hell? And I find out from the lender that he already has a builder. And I'm like, I spent 6 months with you.
That's
And he had no shame though.
no, stupid doctor. Yeah.
No, but what do we need to get signed from them? Do we do the same buyer's brokerage agreement with them? Because you
It's not
don't
a-
want them.
Well, yeah, I would do it. Well, I would do it. It's kind of hard to do for finding a builder, because that's not specifically what it is. But I would do it for. I would sign an agreement, get an agreement in writing with any builder that I talk to. That's what you need to do. And sometimes they're going to pick a. I mean, I guess you could do it from the buyer brokerage side in case he picks a 4th person, but you didn't really help procure that builder then if they picked on their own.
No, but he was trying to be a wise guy. And now guess what? He's stuck because the house is not complete. The other guy has taken him to court. And I told him, I said, you didn't go with one of my builders.
Yeah,
You know?
well,
And he's
we've already established that guy's stupid. So he gets what he gets. But
that's all we can get done, right? Nothing more than that. I'm
correct.
just saying to protect ourselves because you're spending time,
I
Right.
think it's really tough because like the people I have right now, if they go find their own builder, I'm screwed. And they're literally building $1 million house. All I got to do is just stay on them every week. Like, hey, are you ready to go meet another builder? Do you like the ones you're working with? I just have to stay on top of them because I don't feel like there's any way that I can make sure that I get paid.
Has anyone worked with the Builders Association in Maitland? I haven't. That's why I'm asking. I don't do that many new builds. Hello.
I've used the referral network.
Okay, because there's a huge Builders Association right there at what, 1792 and Maitland Boulevard.
Right, the bridges, the overpasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've been there a few times. They're actually, Ryan knows how I feel about the whole industry thing, the connectivity. I'd rather be a member of the Builders Association at this point in time than to be a member of Aura, but that's me personally. You can be an affiliate member and be a real estate licensee.
Yeah, Aura is, I don't know.
All right, guys. Any other, but back to Victoria's question about should I have a buyer brokerage agreement for finding land? Absolutely. Okay. You don't want to, because they will call on their own, or they'll be driving around somewhere one weekend and call the sign, right? And you want people to say, yeah, I've signed something with Victoria. we'll have Victoria send me an offer then.
And if they don't sign, then I just stop the search for them.
Why would they not? Well, we're going to talk about next week, but there's not going to be anybody that's not going to sign. Do they not want you out there looking for them? You've got to, if you educate them that they're not really paying the commission anyway, it's going to be paid by the seller. Do they want it all to go to the seller's agent? You know how well people are represented, and this is my speech for next week, so I don't want to do this. But as much as we talk about how realtors are ethical and stuff, is someone better represented if they have a buyer's agent or if they don't? They're better represented with a buyer's agent, right? Why not take a free representative? If I said, I'm going to sue you in court and I'm going to have a lawyer and you can have one and it's free, do you want one? Would you want one? It's free and I'm paying for it. Would you want it? Of course you do, right? So it's if they're educated on what we do and how we do it, and we build value in what we do, why would they not want it? Lawyers have value, a perceived value in what they do, right? Why don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because they went to school for 7 years and we went for 3 weeks? I don't know. Or is it because well, no, it's not because there's a million of us. There's a million of them too. So what is it that we've allowed to happen to us that we don't have any perceived value? One thing they're not out there doing is undercutting each other and doing it for 1%, right? They're not out there, they do have like legal website help, but nobody's counting on it. They don't have a legal Zillow, right? That anybody would rely on. Nobody tells a lawyer, nobody goes to a lawyer and say, oh, you're wrong. I saw online that at legalzillow.com that you're wrong and I'm right, right? Nobody pulls that stuff with lawyers. They pull it with us. All right. So think about that this week, how you're going to build value, because we're going to be talking about that when we do our buyer brokerage agreement next week. All right. Any other questions?
I have, oops, am I muted?
What's that?
So I have a girl that just texted me. They weren't like super committed clients to me, but I did get the sale of a new construction out in Lake Nona. Well, last night she texted me like, hey, can you tell me what the comps are on this? They have another house, it's a rental. And I had reached out to her and said, hey, if you guys want to sell that house, the market's hot, inventory short, blah, 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 blah. So she texted me last night, can you tell me, what this is worth? She's really kind of a hard person to deal with in a way. She goes, we're talking to another agent too. And so can you send me just this, like the seller's net sheet and what your costs are? I'm like, well, could we meet and me explain things? Well, that's probably not going to be something she wants to do. So knowing that they're working with another agent, would you undercut your commission so that, because most likely that's going to be the bottom line is the dollars, most likely. So what is your opinion?
She is giving you all the warning signs that with the net sheet thing and all that stuff. She's not interested in service. She's interested in money.
Right.
So that is probably the way to win this. As much as I hate to say that, that is probably the way to win this.
Yeah,
but
like, oh, yeah, exactly. We want to sell this fast. They're reasonably and they're thinking about price, so it probably will sell fast. But I know that money is going to, the commission amount is probably going to win it out.
Tammy, without knowing who your competition is, I know you're in the top 5% of realtors, at least. I don't even know the exact, but I know you're in the top 5% of realtors in performance. So why don't you go in there and tell them, look, I don't know what they're going to charge you, but I can do it for a little bit less than my normal rate, which is normally 7%. I can do it for a little bit less, right? And then I can also, my brokerage recommended rate of 7%, because that's what I recommend you guys do. So I can go below my brokerage recommended rate of 7%, but I'm also, this good of a realtor. This is what I've done, where you build yourself up. I know you're a little bit modest, but build yourself up and sell it. And this is how quickly I sell things. So do you want it sitting around to save a few bucks, even knowing that you're probably, you know this in your head, that they're probably not saving a few bucks by using someone else. So not only you're going to beat them by both ways if you cut your thing and show them how good you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
How many times have you guys had this? It happens all the time. How many guys have you guys had somebody list something for $330 and they get an offer and you told them that was too much and they get an offer for $320 and they don't take the offer for $320 and they end up selling it 3 months later for $310. That happened all the time, right?
Hello.
Yeah. So you want to sell it quickly, and you're going to sell it quickly because you're better, Tammy. Chances are there's a 98% chance you're better than whoever's you're competing with. And I would take a risk on that. I would say I've got more production and whatever than most people,
exactly.
you know, and show how quickly you sell things, whatever stats you can come up with.
Right.
And then, and even though that crazy Carissa wants me to charge 7%, I'm going to do it for 5.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
That's what they're interested in, quick and money.
Yeah.
So, and not all of them are like that. Just this one and this is what part of the sales, you know what their hot, but we talked about hot buttons last week.
Exactly.
You know what their hot button is just by the questions they're asking you. When they ask to see the net sheet, they don't ask you about your customer service. They don't seem to care too much about that.
Right.
And they're presenting this other kind of like when people, when you tell someone else there's another offer on a property, what do? They up their game, right? They come in top dollar, they do all this stuff. They're telling you that because they want you to give them the best deal.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
If they did, if they didn't care about the best deal, they wouldn't have told you about the other agent. They would have just met with 2 agents and let you know later they went with somebody else. That's all happened to us before, right? We didn't know we were competing with somebody, and then you find out, no, we chose someone else. Well, you didn't even tell me there was another person.
Right.
And then what would you have done differently? Well, I would have given you a better rate, right? Well,
then they say, well, you should have given me the better rate to begin with. You know?
Exactly. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah. Why didn't you do that to start with?
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So, any other questions? Awesome, guys. I don't care if you're like Tammy or just so you guys know, Tammy's a diamond producer with us. She's in our top 3 or 4 agents. She did fantastic 2 years in a row now. I don't care if you're like Tammy or if you just started real estate last week. Come in with some stats and stuff that makes you look good. If you have to use brokerage stats, use stats that make you look good, right? It's a we. If you don't have numbers that jump off the page at people, it's a we. If you do have numbers that jump off the page at people, it's an I. Okay. This is what I do for my people. This is how quickly I sell. And if you need your stats, you don't know how to find them, I'll teach you one day about market reports. We can talk about that. But you find your stats. You can find stats for anybody that has a NERDS number, right? So you pull your stats, see how quickly your stats come up, how quickly your stuff comes off the market. And if you don't know it's good or not, look up other people's too. Okay, you can search agents, find their 9-digit number, and run that, and find out it's like, hey, my stuff comes off in 52 days, and everybody else is 31. Then you don't want to be, bragging about that.
Right,
so. Find something else to brag about, like anything other statistic. There's a million things to brag about without mentioning the negative ones, right?
How would I brag about my days on the market when I really haven't? I'm getting a lot of listing requests now, but in the past I've really just done mostly buyers and a few listings, but not.
Well, you have average days on the market, and unless you took some land or something that sits on there for 360 days on average, then you should have some kind of. You'll have an average of some type.
Even just on the sale, just on the listing side, not on the buyer side, right?
Yeah, just on the listing side. Yeah, it doesn't matter. The buyer side, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
So go on your listing side, and if your last 12 months don't look good, try just 2020. If that doesn't look good, try just 2019 and say last year my property's only sat on the market for an average of 18 days. Okay. Right? Even though if you pull this year, it's 51 days. Last year it was only this.
Which is dependent on the seller agreeing to the price you think it has to list at too. If they are listing it too high, and they're going to sit, and that's what I told her as well. If they're priced, they're going to sell.
Yeah, but Tammy, and that's where you use that. And the reason why my properties only sell on the market for 18 days is because sellers like you take my advice to list it at the right price.
Okay.
Right? That's why. Because people listen to me because I'm great. Did I mention that I'm in the top? Blah, blah, blah. Right. So you don't come off as arrogant like that, but you get the idea. So that's what you want to do. It's all sales, guys. Everything you do is sales, sales, sales. If you guys aren't reading sales books or you're not listening to sales stuff in the car, you should be. Okay. and not just real estate sales. This is sales. I don't care if you're selling the Cutco knives or what you're selling. It's all very similar. Okay. Sales, sales, sales. Tammy, I can make your days on market stats look good and tell you a way to say that one way or another. And I don't care if I have to take last September. Guys, you know, in September, my properties only stay on the market 7 days or whatever. You know what I mean? In the fall of the last 2 years, my average on market time, you know, just pull something that's relevant to right now. And when you go meet with them, you know, when I list something in the first 5 days of the month, we sell it by the end of the month. You know, just whatever stat you could come up with.
She doesn't want to meet either. She wants like all this done like text and email. She doesn't really want to even meet.
Perfect. Write an email.
Bottom line.
Write an email.
Yeah.
Say, just so you know, my days on market are some of the lowest in the blah, blah, blah. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I'll take a picture of my award and send it to her as well.
Yeah. Send that on part of your email. You know what? That can be, make that part of your signature on your emails.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, you know? Awesome. Awesome. Anybody else got anything?
2 books I can recommend right now. I'm reading one, which is called Never Split the Difference. I got it from the Orange County Library. So actually I got to get it back in another week. I still need to read it. The other book that I'm reading right now is the Book of Yes. And I think I bought that on Amazon. But I try to put book reading in my schedule, like 1 hour a day. I don't always do it, but it's on the schedule.
Hey, Daryl, will you put those, can you write those in the chat, please?
Sure, no problem.
Because we can't see the covers. Your green screen thing there is kind of weird.
Yeah, I know. I tried to put them up. Okay, cool.
Ivan asked if we can share some stats on brokerage level we can use. I will, I'll come up with something for that, Ivan. They're on the market report. 50344 is our office ID. If you want to play around on there, you can. I'll play around on there as well and see what I can come up with. I know in 2019, we had the 4th most transactions of any brokerage in the Matrix Stellar, now Stellar. So I'll get some stats and get them to you. We'll talk about it next week, and I'll make them sound fantastic. All right. All right, guys. Well, we're going to say goodbye, and I've enjoyed seeing you all. Thank you all for coming. Daryl just put the books in there. This will be recorded thanks to Abby. She's going to edit it, and it'll be on our YouTube page, which is awesome. Have you guys looked at our YouTube page? Show of hands of those of you who have looked at our YouTube page. Let's get on there. I sent you the link. In fact, I sent it again this morning when you saw the link to this. It's on that same thing. It's really good, really looks great. It's our agent success program, and that is what we're building. So thank you everybody for coming. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.